co-host Casey's here as well. Casey, happy Wednesday or Thursday to you, depending on when you guys listen to this. But regardless, the NFL draft has finally finished. Over 250 players were selected this past year, or this past month, I should say, going to their respective teams. And of course, we can't forget about the undrafted free agents that have come and gone as well. But hey, today we're going to discuss the winners and losers of today's draft. We're going to talk about, our thoughts on the quarterbacks that were chosen this year and which one will have the better NFL career. We're also going to talk about Ryan Tannehill and some comments he made in regards to his new teammate in Malik Willis. We'll talk about DeAndre Hopkins, Tyrann Mathieu, the biggest steal of the draft, and of course, some history being made in the NFL as well in terms of referees. But first, the draft, it's always fun, right, Casey? Every month, every year, I should say. Teams get better. That's what they said. Teams get better every single year. Whether you're, a 2-14 team or you just won the Super Bowl, the draft allows you to get better or retool your team. Now we have to wait till August, September for football to start up again. I mean, sure, there's the USFL, right? But there's nothing compared to the NFL. But the question is, Case, I want to start off is which teams won the draft and which teams lost the draft?
All right. So, I've been very excited about today. There's so many great things happening in the draft and so many questionable moves as well. So for winners, number one, I have the Lions and Jared Goff. The fact that the Lions did not go out and draft a quarterback like Malik Willis, second overall, has shown that they have grown as a franchise and especially as a front office. I think that, over the years, Penei Sewell and now Jameson Williams and Hutchinson are going to be great additions to the team. And I respect the Lions, as you know, especially from TikTok. But I think that the Lions should make a drastic improvement here with this draft. I think they did really, really well. They're reliable. They're confident in their quarterback in Jared Goff. They didn't panic and draft Malik Willis. They gave him a wide receiver weapon. They have an O-line with Sewell. They have a defensive end. So, I mean, really, and they have Ifeatu Melifonwu, who went to Syracuse University. So props to him. Number two, my second winner is going to be the New York Jets. The Jets had 3 first-round picks and really just nailed all 3 of them. They had Ahmad Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and I believe, who was the last one?
Jermaine Johnson II, who actually was projected to go top 10 by some analysts, but he fell all the way to the late first round, and then the Jets traded up to get him. So
for sure, and Jermaine Johnson. So all 3 great players there. The Jets are really just infamous for making terrible, terrible draft choices. So the fact that they knocked this one out of the park and really surprised me, to be honest with you. And the next winner is Drake London. Drake London is a receiver that a lot of people saw, being the best receiver in all of college football. And after he got injured, then his stock kind of fell. But he still got selected really, really high. He was the first wide receiver taken, I believe, by the Atlanta Falcons. So now the Atlanta Falcons will look to Desmond Ridder, their new quarterback, and Drake London to get the job done. Of course, you have that situation for Marcus Mariota, but that's a story for a different day. My next winner are the Steelers, between Pickett and Pickens, the Pick brothers, as I will call it now. They are going to be a very interesting combo here. Pickett called it already. Mr. Steeler, Mr. Pittsburgh, staying home, playing on literally the same exact field, which is really cool. And then finally I have 2 more. So my second to last winner are the Titans for drafting Malik Willis. He was a great steal. A lot of people regarded him as the best quarterback in the draft, but obviously the Steelers saw otherwise. And then also David Bell, who is a very underrated wide receiver. Wherever he goes is going to be an absolute, just a perfect gem in the making. So props to him, and we'll watch for his success later on in life and in his NFL career. The losers I have, are Baker Mayfield, who I just really feel bad for, former first overall pick. Now he's having trouble finding a team that wants him and where to play. We talked about this a little off air. Would you rather get traded or released? Baker Mayfield will probably get released if he does not find a deal. We thought that he would go, to the Panthers, but then they drafted Matt Corral. We thought that he would go to the Texans, and that didn't pan out. So we don't really know. And the second loser is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he always asks for a first-round wide receiver, and yet again, the Packers have failed him. But it's not his fault. So technically, I guess the Packers are losers. But I just feel bad for Aaron Rodgers because he does not still have a first-round wide receiver. But Christian Watson, the wide receiver from North Dakota State University, is the closest thing that you can find to a first-round receiver in the second round. Another loser are the New York Giants. The Giants, it's a little questionable. I didn't think that they would not take a quarterback at all. I think that they would have probably taken, Sam Howell later in the draft or, just any quarterback, even undrafted free agent. Like the fact that you are going to rely on Tyrod Taylor and Danny Dimes to quarterback your team and not have a third string is absolutely mind-blowing to me. Literally, one of them has a punctured lung and the other one plays like he has a punctured lung. And so it's just absolutely terrible, the quarterback position in the Giants locker room right now. But finally, my last loser here is, unfortunately, it's Sam Howell's draft stock. Him as a player, he's a very talented player, but his draft stock fell a lot. Last year, as you remember, everyone regarded him as the first overall pick, in terms of the quarterback. But after North Carolina had a tough year, that changed drastically. So I feel bad for Sam Howell, but still, he still got drafted. So very happy for him. Now it's time for him to go prove the haters wrong and do all that good stuff. Drafted to a very interesting team, and I look forward to seeing him absolutely trash the Giants twice a year, every year. So, and then finally, now that I think of it, possibly Josh Jacobs. Me as a Raider fan, Josh Jacobs, having the starting spot with the Raiders, only to have then Zamir White out of Georgia be drafted. People were saying, is he his replacement? I don't know. I don't think he's going to be his replacement. No, I think I still am confident in Josh Jacobs, but I feel bad for him because I don't think we could have we needed Zamir White at that spot. But yeah, that's my winners and losers off the top of my head here. Do you have any other winners and losers here for us, Nathan?
First off, to the Josh Jacobs point you made, the Raiders did decline his fifth-year option. So that means this upcoming year is pretty much his last year. And then, if you guys decide to, you will resign him once next year comes around. Zamir White, a solid back. I haven't done much research on him, even though I probably should sooner rather than later. But he's a solid back. I think he, with time, he will probably develop to a solid, number one guy. Now, in terms of winners, my first team is, you mentioned Detroit. And it's because the fact that it's like they got the number one pick, even though they were obviously number two overall because Jacksonville was, number one, but they went with Trayvon Walker. So it was, kind of a heartwarming ending in that Aiden Hutchinson, who played for Michigan, gets to stay in his home state and play for the Lions. And we could trash the Lions all we want, but this is a team that's they're not going to contend, obviously, with the NFC North, but they're building their team the right way. You get Hutchinson, you, I think, trade up to get Jamison Williams. And then, those two picks, those are two solid guys that you can build around on both the defensive and offensive side of the ball. Williams is still recovering from that injury he suffered last season in the college football playoffs. But once he's healthy, he's going to be a solid piece to go along with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You mentioned for Jared Goff. Look, the Lions did him well. They traded for Goff, and they said, you know what, you're going to be our quarterback no matter what anyone says. We're not going to draft one. Your job is safe. So, props to the Lions organization for still trusting Goff. And this is a guy that Goff has made the Super Bowl before. He has a, history of winning. It's just a matter of just building a team around him, and the Lions are doing so right now with the draft so far. Another team that stands out is the Chiefs. Look, the AFC West is very, very loaded. We all know that, right? And the first thing they did was, we need to get a corner to keep up with the Devontae Adams and the Keenan Allens and the Jerry Judys of the world. And they said, we're going to get Trent McDuffie, who someone told me that, if you watch his film, he's a very, very good corner who played for Washington, the Huskies. So he's one guy. Then they, late in the first one, they got George Karlaftis, who was projected to go in the top 15, but he fell all the way down to the late first round. Casey, you were high on Karlaftis as well. And he goes to the Chiefs, provides a pass rush. And this guy, he has a motor. Like, he gives 100% all the time. I read a scouting report on him, and he's going to be a solid piece for the Chiefs for years to come. And then in the second round, look, you lose Tyreek Hill. Who do you get? You get Sky Moore. That's great. You get another receiver for Patrick Mahomes to go along with the Juju Smith-Schuster, because we don't know what Juju's going to provide. We don't know what Hardman's going to provide. Pringle's gone. Byron Pringle, to be exact. And you bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but that's still unclear. So you bring in a Sky Moore, who is a solid receiver. It was a loaded receiver class in the first place. So if you get him playing in the first round, in the second round, I should say, props to the Chiefs for getting him as well. You mentioned the Jets. I won't go into, too much into that. But when you get a corner like Gardner, who basically, like I said, like the Lions, fell into their lap because of the first pick being Trayvon Walker. They got Gardner, and then they got Garrett Wilson, who was great at Ohio State, and then Jermaine Johnson, who they traded up to get in the first round. Now, I do question the Giants being a loser, and here's why. Look, I get it. I get it. 80% of the NFL world is like, why didn't the Giants get a quarterback? But this is no disrespect, but 80% of those fans are dumb. Either you don't watch football, or you just don't know what's going on. Look, I get it. Daniel Jones isn't a big name. Oh, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Derek Carr. I get it. But the thing is, the Giants have been the worst team since 2017. The worst record, along with the Jets, have for the worst record since 2017. I get it. But we've gone through so many incompetent coaching staffs and offensive coordinators, and just the toxicity of the front office and the organization was just terrible. I mean, look, Dave Gettleman was not a great GM. I mean, he's the guy that said, you know what, we're going to draft a running back second overall because we love I guess, the way he plays, his explosiveness, instead of, because look, you don't draft, as much as I love Saquon Barkley, I will ride and die with that guy. You don't draft the running back second overall, no matter how good he is. But the Giants were so enamored with him, it was like, all right, we're gonna draft Saquon and we'll go from there. And look what happened the past couple of years. Saquon hasn't produced, so it hasn't been great. But now you bring in a new regime. You bring in Joe Schoen from the Bills, who has history with with winning quarterbacks, and Josh Allen. We know about that. You bring in Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who has worked with Patrick Mahomes. You bring in Brian Daboll, also from the Bills, who was the offensive coordinator for Josh Allen. You bring him in as the head coach. And honestly, I've been watching press conference after press conference after press conference. I'm doing homework on the draftees and the coaching staff. And funny story, did you know that the Giants were interested in Charles Cross? You know about that before the draft? So basically, it was a smokescreen. What Joe Schoen reportedly did, I don't know if it's true, but I saw a tweet about this. He told the head of scouting, Chris Petit, that they were interested in Charles Cross. And everyone in the world knew about it once it got leaked, right? And as soon as the draft ended, fired. The head of scouting got fired because, look, it was a smokescreen. We didn't know the Giants were going to go this way. We didn't know they were going to go get a Kayvon Thibodeau. We didn't know they were going to get an Evan. We didn't know any of that. We thought, with all these mock drafts, Kayvon was going to go to the Texans, but everything just fell the Giants' way. We didn't know what the Giants were going to do. And look at that. The new regime comes in. They get Kayvon Thibodeau. One of the best. I kid you not, my listeners and or whoever's watching this stream as well, live or later on in the future. I cried, happy tears. I really did, because I wanted Kayvon Thibodeau, and we got Kayvon Thibodeau. Okay, but then okay, we got Kayvon. That's great. What's next? You get Evan Neal, who's 6'7". He moves like he's 50 pounds lighter than his 300-pound weight shows. This guy can move, and he played for under Nick Saban. When you play under Nick Saban, you play in an NFL environment, and this guy he's going to solidify that right tackle spot for years to come. Now, you could question in the second round, we got a wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson. Everyone was like, oh, no, why would you get a wide receiver? We don't even know the guy. Look, this is Joe Schoen we're talking about, okay? This is a new regime. He did his homework. And I want to point this out. I don't want to go too much into it. I know this is not a Giants podcast. I will say this, though. Each prospect the Giants drafted met up with New York at least once. During Dave Gettleman's regime, none of that ever happened. I just want to point that out. So, the Giants are winners of the draft because you get a guy to solidify the defensive side of the ball, another guy to solidify the offensive line. And look, this is the year. I'm telling you, if you give Daniel Jones all of these pieces on the offensive and defense side of the ball, and he still doesn't produce, that's why the Giants decline his fifth-year option. But until then, he will be the starter of this team. No matter what you say about Tyrod Taylor and his punch-it lung and Danny Dimes playing like he has a punch-it lung, I'm telling you right now, Danny Dimes is our starter. And this is the year we will determine if he will
No.
I'm telling you right now, my dog.
That year has already come and passed, bro. Last year and the year before that and the year before that.
No. You look at the roster, it did not work out. You know that. Come on. You know that. Our roster the past couple years has not worked out. Regardless, look, I don't want to make this a Giants podcast whatsoever. I'll move on to another winner I have real quick, the Ravens. Look, like I said, the mock drafts, it didn't fall the way we thought it to be. And guess who was waiting for the Ravens at 14? Kyle Hamilton, a guy that can do everything in the secondary. Corner, safety, slot, linebacker at times maybe. Look, the guy can do everything. He fell to you. And later on, you get Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa, to protect Lamar Jackson. Great. Maybe Lamar just had to scramble 30 times a game for once. Great. You get David Ojabo, who tore his Achilles during the pro day this past year, unfortunately. But you got him in the second round, so once he gets healthy, he's going to be a menace on the defensive line. You trade away Marquise Brown, but you get guys like Charlie Kohler and Isaiah Likely. Those two tight ends are going to be hopefully solid weapons for Lamar Jackson. Great. And honestly, I hate to say it, Philly was the winner too. And I'm wearing a Phillies hat. I'm a Phillies fan. I'm all over the place, sports fan wise. I get it. The Eagles. I'd say they're winners because they got AJ Brown. You know, when you get a receiver like that, to go along with the other draftees they picked in the first round, you can't deny that they're one of the winners of this draft. So props to them. As much as it hurts to say it. But losers, I want to dive into this real quick. I know I'm going for way too long. The Jags, Trayvon Walker, really? You really went for that? Come on. You knew ownership wanted Hutchinson, but if you're Trent Baalke, come on, dude. Trayvon Walker, what do you see? What are you seeing that I don't see? What he did in the championship game that stood out? What he did during the combine? We realized that Tom Brady was terrible in the combine, and he fell to the 6th round, and look what he did. The combine doesn't mean crap. Yet you could have got Aiden Hutchinson, a guy who had double-digit sacks, had a higher Pro Football Focus grade, a better pass rush win percentage, and you drafted Trayvon Walker. Why? Just why? And you can bring up whoever they drafted after that because they got some guys like Devin Lloyd and whatever. But really, Trayvon Walker, Jacksonville already messed up. They're gonna get the number 1 pick next year. I'm calling it right now. The Pats, Cole Strange, a lineman in the first round. This lineman could have been chosen. The Rams made a joke about this. Literally, Sean McVay and the GM, Les Snead, I think is his name, or whatever the case may be, made a joke about this. When they saw Cole Strange get off the board in the first round, they're like, "Oh, that's a guy that we were waiting to fall to 100." Yeah, because Strange could have been chosen in the third round, yet you go for him in the first. Whatever. It's Bill Belichick. He'll figure it out. And lastly, Seattle. Come on, man. No quarterback. Really? Geno Smith, Drew Lock, and Jacob Eason are your three quarterbacks going to next year? Come on, man. If you don't get Baker, you're screwed. And I hate Baker. I don't like Baker. But Baker's your best choice right now. You're not going to next year with Drew Lock. No way. No way. Jose, no. So Seattle's a loser. You could have got Malik Willis, who fell to the 22nd pick of the third round, yet and you had the 8th pick in the third round, and you went with a non-quarterback. So, yeah, man, Seattle, they lost out. So, we'll see what they decide to do. But, yeah, those are the winners and losers of our draft, I should say. And look, we'll see what happens in terms of how the teams are going to look heading into this upcoming year. And the team's records will determine how well these rookies are performing, and we'll go from there. So, but as we know, quarterbacks weren't really heavily wanted this year. Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback chosen in the first round. He heads to Pittsburgh and stays home. Like you said, Case, he gets to stay home, which is great. But the next quarterback wasn't chosen until the third round. Desmond Ridder went to Atlanta. Malik Willis went to Tennessee. Matt Corral went to Carolina, which is a weird pick. We thought they were going to get Baker Mayfield, but that's not the case. Now, we'll dive into Malik Willis and the current Tennessee quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, in a bit. But which quarterback from this class will have the better NFL career? Case.
So personally, I feel like the best player in you said of this. Sorry, repeat it again. You said of this round.
Yeah, of this whole NFL class, this year's class, basically.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So personally, I feel like the steal of this draft was none other than quarterback Sam Howell. You could argue that it was Malik Willis, but I'll tell you why. This is not. I'm being totally serious. I think that Sam Howell is a huge steal because like I said, a lot of people thought that he was going to be the first overall pick. They thought he was going to be the quarterback number one per se. And so when he was drafted in the fourth round, that did not go as planned. But Washington landed a heck of a quarterback. You could argue Malik Willis with the same thing. Titans absolutely stole Malik Willis, but in my opinion, no better steal than quarterback Sam Howell, who will be, mark my words, will be the starting quarterback midway through the season. That's how confident I am. I don't really feel like Carson Wentz is going to be that quarterback for them. I think Sam Howell's going to get some snaps there and prove everyone wrong, especially any New York Giants fans. New York Giants fans are so few and far in between. I do not know where I could find any Giants fans. So if you let me know, where they are, that would be greatly beneficial because, we all know that they need a quarterback as well. But moving on, in all seriousness, I think that he is a good steal, and Malik Willis is arguably just as good, if not better, than him in terms of that department. But yeah, I mean, who is your biggest steal of this draft?
In terms of steal, that's tough because I thought we were diving into like the quarterback that will have the better NFL career in terms of this year's class. So I assume you're saying Sam Howell will have a better NFL career than a Kenny Pickett or a Malik Willis, correct?
No. So, yeah. So that's why there's a little confusion. So initially I was like, oh, okay, who's the steal? But that's my answer for a different question. The answer to that question specifically is you have to look at Willis, Ridder, and Corral, right? So Willis went to Tennessee. He's probably going to be a backup behind Tannehill for a large portion of the season, if not all of it. Because, okay, I'll tell you why. because Tannehill, I don't think the Titans need a quarterback behind Tannehill. I truly, truly, truly don't. Don't get me wrong. Tannehill is not a top 10 quarterback, but he's not terrible. He's not terrible either. Desmond Ridder, he's probably going to be a starter midway through the season, if not earlier, over Marcus Mariota. And then finally, Matt Corral. He's the most likely to start out of all these guys, beating out Sam Darnold. So those are my three. But I think that overall, the Panthers and Texans have, or Panthers and Titans, sorry, have the best wide receiving weapons. The Panthers have DJ Moore. The Titans now have Robert Woods and Traylon Burks, the exciting rookie out of Arkansas. But the Panthers, they have DJ Moore, they have Robbie Anderson and Rashard Higgins. They have the most experienced wide receiving core for sure. The best running back would probably be on the Titans. And then second place, of course, you have the Panthers. But with that being said, I feel like the team with the most talent is probably going to be the Panthers. So I think my answer to that question is going to be Matt Corral. He's going to have the most successful NFL. I don't know about NFL career, but NFL season so far.
Tennessee. How to put this lightly? You realize, when Ryan Tannehill was drafted by Miami, he was a first-round pick. We all thought that Ryan Tannehill would be, a solid quarterback. 42-46 as a starter with Miami. He was thrown into the dumpster with no one wanting him at all. And then Tennessee comes around and says, come on, we'll take you and we'll build you and whatever. He wins Comeback Player of the Year, whatever the case may be. Have the Titans made the Super Bowl yet? No. Because everything is dependent on the king himself. Not LeBron James, King Henry himself. You know dang well this offense is built around Derrick Henry all the time because he is the most dependent guy on this offense. A.J. Brown's gone. You bring in Robert Woods. You bring in Traylon Burks. But then Malik Willis comes along. Mike Vrabel is inside. He's not going to show it. But inside, he's laughing. He's happy and laughing because he cannot work with that son of a gun in Tannehill anymore. And we'll dive into this in a bit. But you can't tell me Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, a Sam Howell, a Kenny Pickett is going to have a better career than Malik Willis. Malik Willis is Lamar Jackson, but better.
Okay, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, right? As a Syracuse fan, we've played Lamar Jackson more than once, right? We played him, I believe, 2 or 3 times. No. Well, he's in our conference, so we probably played him once a year. And so when we played him, I remember Lamar Jackson absolutely burning us and just destroying us. Now, we played against Malik Willis twice, and we beat him twice, I believe. Could be wrong, but I believe we beat him twice. He's not in my opinion, he's not as good as a quarterback as everyone has hyped him up to be, but he's still good. I just don't think he's the, he's a franchise quarterback, but I don't think that he's necessarily the premier selection as everyone hypes him up to be.
I will make this statement. If Kenny Pickett didn't go to Pitt, the Steelers would have got Malik Willis. Come on, look, they got Kenny Pickett not just because he's, they think he's the best quarterback in the class. They got him because he's from Pitt. This whole he gets to come home to Pittsburgh.
He is the best quarterback.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Did he make the college? No, even Desmond Ridder, who was chosen in the 3rd round
because of his team.
No,
of his team.
No, Cincinnati. No, Casey.
Exactly.
Cincinnati is not a Group of 5 team, and they made where was Pittsburgh? Where was Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh is dominating in the ACC as always.
In the ACC.
Check.
Did they make the playoff?
That doesn't matter. They still dominated.
No.
Okay, so who else made the playoffs of these quarterbacks? Desmond Ritter. That was his team. Desmond Ritter. Who else?
They went undefeated, literally until the playoff.
Okay, but they still lost.
What I'm saying is, Kenny Pickett, if he didn't go to Pitt, wouldn't have been chosen by the Steelers in the first round. I'm telling because they think that Kenny Pickett is going to be the guy when Malik Willis is still on the board. Willis and Ritter and
but was he picked though?
I know, but that's the thing. Because it's a great story. It's like, he's from Pitt. Let's bring him in and everything. No, because Malik Willis was Liberty's offense. Statistically, look at the stats. He is literally the whole offense. He can throw. He can run. I'm telling you, he's Lamar Jackson, but with a better arm.
He's not, bro. I'm telling you. I saw Lamar Jackson at Louisville.
Just because he didn't perform to your standards against your sorry Syracuse Orange doesn't mean he's not a great quarterback. That's why we'll dive into this later, but Malik Willis will have a better NFL career because of this. You imagine Tennessee's offense. You have a Treylon Burks. You have a Derrick Henry. You have Malik Willis. Honestly, if I'm Tennessee, you know what? I'll say this for now. When you have an offense that looks as dangerous as it is right now, with a Henry and a Burks and a Robert Woods, look, Malik Willis is destined to succeed, and Mike Vrabel is going to figure it out with this guy. That's why they choked, because look, they gave away A.J. Brown, but in the end, you still have a solid offense. You still have Derrick Henry, and imagine the option plays you could run. With Willis and Henry, those are two dangerous weapons. That's what I'm saying. So, look, Desmond Ritter with Atlanta, yeah. Matt Corral with Carolina, that's great, but they're not really going anywhere as of right. Christian McCaffrey's hurt every time I watch him play. Sam Howell's not going to do crap with Washington. Kenny Pickett, yeah, you have Najee Harris and whatnot, but the Steelers are going to be stuck in a tough division. So, I just really think Malik Willis with his dual threat abilities, that's why I feel like he's going to have a better NFL career. But, we're going to leave it at that because I want to shift towards, we're going to stay on the topic of quarterbacks here because Tennessee, we'll stick with that as well. When asked if he plans on mentoring him, Ryan Tannehill said, it is not his job to do so with Malik Willis. Now, I'll let you go first because I don't know how long I'm going to take. But what are your thoughts? Is Tannehill wrong for not, mentoring Willis, or is he right?
In my opinion, I don't think that he is wrong for that. It is a very competitive league. It is the NFL. But to be honest with you, look, the same thing happened with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. It's not necessarily your responsibility, but it is highly recommended rather, that you take him under your wing and, you train him and perfect him. But the way Tannehill sees it is Tannehill is one competitive dude. He does not want to let Malik Willis take his spot in Tennessee. And so he's not going to help him take his spot in Tennessee. He bounced around I know he went from the Dolphins. He started off with the Dolphins, and he wasn't the best of quarterbacks. And then, he goes to Tennessee and earned that spot, took him to the playoffs, I believe, twice to the conference championship or lower, but at least once to the conference championship. And then, Malik Willis, yes, he's a good quarterback, but it's a competitive league. And Tannehill, in my opinion, didn't really do anything wrong, although it is frowned upon by NFL coaches and players and stuff like that. But I totally understand it. It is a very competitive league. And so, in my opinion, I don't think he did anything wrong.
If there's one word to describe Ryan Tannehill, it's selfish. No. You could talk about it's a competitive league. I don't want him to take my spot. Guess what? If you get hurt, the team loses. And we're all going to come back to you and say, you didn't, help him. You didn't help this young quarterback. And he has to get thrown into the bushes.
It's not going to be his fault.
Yeah.
It's because Malik Willis couldn't play.
No.
If he can't perform, it's not because of Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, okay. You know what? If I'm Malik Willis, I don't even be mentored by Ryan Tannehill. Okay. No. Hear me out. Tennessee, the past 4 years, 12-5, 11-5, 9-7, 9-7. Matter of fact, they were the number 1 seed this past year. Had a bye week. Ryan Tannehill had all the time in the world to relax and get ready for this game and lost again in the playoffs. Oh, I don't want to get trained, or I don't want to mentor Malik Willis. Shit, if I'm Malik Willis, I don't want to get mentored by you either. You were 42-46 before Tennessee come and saved your ass.
Okay, wait. So Malik Willis is supposed to be better than Tannehill, right?
No, it doesn't matter.
No. I'm just saying in general.
It doesn't even matter. Yes, but it doesn't even matter. It does not even matter because
it does though. I'll tell you why.
When you are a rookie in the NFL, there's a big change between college and the NFL. That's why you get the mentorship from your teammates. Ryan Tannehill is one selfish motherfucker. Because he doesn't want to mentor.
If Tannehill look, if Tannehill is not as good as Malik Willis, why in the heck would Tannehill give offer to Malik Willis to help train him if he's already? Because then he's just giving away his spot.
No, because Casey, because you have to help at least because take this for example. When the Giants drafted Daniel Jones, it was the end of Eli Manning's era. It's sad. It sucks. Eli was like, damn.
But Tannehill is young enough to where he can still quarterback the team. Eli Manning was really
What has Tennessee done? What has Tennessee done?
Tennessee he's took him to the playoffs, I think, 3 times. Once the conference championship.
Oh, yes. Not he.
He was there.
Was he the reason? He was not the primary Casey.
He's a top 15 quarterback. Top 15.
Name. Oh my goodness.
He's
Hell
definitely top 15.
No.
Absolutely. No. Okay, look, he's absolutely not a top 10. Come on. Top 15? Sure. At least top 20. But definitely top 230 quarterback in the league for sure. You know what? Who's not a top 32 quarterback in the league?
Yeah, I get
Daniel Jones.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, Daddy's not. I get it.
No, but okay, no.
But here's the thing.
Oh, you go.
What he's doing right now is costing this team. You cannot sit here and tell the media and say, you know what? It's not my job. He's going to take my spot. Guess what? I'm telling you right now, if Tannehill gets hurt and Malik Willis is getting thrown into the wolves and is unprepared because some selfish teammate didn't want to help him out during the film room or during practice, that's it. Tennessee starts losing, and everyone's going to look at Tannehill and it's like, you see what happens? You couldn't maybe give him some tips? Look, this guy is coming. Malik Willis is going from a school called Liberty University, not really known for top NFL prospects, to the NFL. But you know what? Honestly, he's wrong. He's wrong for all this. But if I'm Malik Willis, I take it with a grain of salt and say, you know what? It's fine. I'm gonna beat you out by week 1. I'm gonna take your spot. I'll show you what I can do. I'm gonna lead this.
How great I am!
Exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna lead this team to the number 1 seed in the AFC. I'll show you what I can do. I can run. I could throw. I don't need Derrick Henry to carry me all the time. It's just Ryan Tannehill is so lucky. He was so lucky Tennessee saved his ass. Because if he didn't, God, he'd be out the league. I'm 42-46 as a starter with Miami, and you were a first-round pick. You didn't make the playoffs once with Miami.
And then he goes to Tennessee and takes them to the conference championship?
No, until Derrick Henry saved their ass and took them to the conference
But then takes them to the playoffs 2 years in a row after that?
You realize without Derrick Henry, Tennessee's offense is nothing. Tannehill is nothing. He's dog shit.
He's not the best quarterback, but he definitely helped get him there.
He is without Derrick Henry. Tannehill is dog shit.
And without Ryan Tannehill and the backup quarterback, what happens?
I don't care. Honestly, I take Malik
They
Willis.
They probably don't go there.
Right now, if I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm saying Malik Willis is my starter.
Ryan Tannehill is a quarterback that would, definitely lead the Titans to the promised land had they beaten I believe it was, who did they play at the conference championship? I can't remember, but he would have been a Super Bowl quarterback, not a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but a quarterback playing in the Super Bowl. We would have this huge conversation of whether or not he's a top 10 quarterback. But since he didn't, everyone's talking about how good. How old is he? Let's see real quick. How old is Ryan Tannehill?
I think he's 33.
Ryan Tannehill is. You said 33?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah. He's not even that old. I've seen other quarterbacks older than him. Get pushed out, and he's not. He can still do it. Okay, let's just real quick. Let's look at the dignity of Ryan Tannehill. NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He's been to a Pro Bowl. NFL passer rating leader. He's been with the Titans from 2019 to present. He's been with the Dolphins for 7 years. So yeah, okay, he's not the best quarterback, but he wouldn't be gone out of the NFL if it wasn't for the Titans. I think a different team would have picked him up for sure. But no, nevertheless, that's ifs. We're talking about nows and what actually happened. So he's with the Titans. He's still their quarterback. He could probably beat Malik Willis if he wanted to. Maybe won't last very long. Maybe like 2 or 3 years, but he can still beat him for sure.
Tennessee chose Malik Willis for a reason because they do not believe in Ryan Tannehill anymore. He's had multiple chances to, lead into the Super Bowl, has not done so. Like I said, 12-5, 11-5, 9-7, 9-7. No Super Bowl whatsoever because Ryan Tannehill is not that good. So as we shift towards
kind of like Daniel Jones,
we're not. Anyway, DeAndre Hopkins will be suspended during the first 6 games of the 2022 NFL season due to the use of PEDs, according to a quote from DeAndre Hopkins. He did not know that PEDs were, I guess, given to him. I think he was getting treatment or something, and I guess it was an accident, basically, according to Hopkins. So, regardless, he will miss the first 6 games of the Cardinals' 2022 season. Casey, the Cardinals are already without Christian Kirk, but that's not, any big of a loss, let's be honest, because he was overpaid by Jacksonville. How much will Hopkins' absence affect the chances of the Cardinals to make the playoffs?
So personally, with DeAndre Hopkins leaving the team, not leaving the team, but being suspended. Before he left, I would say that the Cardinals had a 7 out of 10 chance of going to the playoffs. But now that he's gone, it's a 50-50 chance. So it definitely greatly affects them. Personally, I don't think that DeAndre Hopkins is going to, when he comes back, he'll be a good player. But until then, the Cardinals are going to have to rely on the Oklahoma Sooner connection between not Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown. So that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, it really just messes up their playoff chances for sure. But yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like DeAndre Hopkins is the wide receiver he used to be, like he was in Houston. It's just not there. It really just is not there. He's definitely not the best receiver in the NFL. But yeah, that's my definitely hot take for sure.
I think when healthy, he's a top 5 wide receiver, most definitely.
And good. like when he's
Oh,
healthy and
oh, of
good.
course, oh, of
But
course,
there's
yeah.
been times where he's healthy and
It
absolute
hasn't been
trash.
good. And
Yeah.
honestly, you could credit that to just Kyler Murray as a whole because he just hasn't targeted him as much as he needs to. Let's be honest. Last season, Kyler Murray 42 catches, 572 yards, and 8 touchdowns in 10 games played. Year before that, when he was pretty much fully healthy, 115 catches, 1,407 yards, and just 6 touchdowns. So sort of an improvement in the touchdown category last season. Uh, I can honestly say if he stayed healthy, he went past 10 touchdowns receiving. Hopkins would. Like, it sucks. If you're Arizona, that hurts, and if it's an incident where it was an accident that the PEDs were, given to him, if it was an accident, that's even worse. Because, maybe the athlete didn't know, and it just sucks. Now, I will say this though: the Cardinals have Marquise Brown, which is great, and I heard that the trade for Marquise Brown was done because the Cardinals sort of knew about this whole PED thing with Hopkins, and they knew this was the suspension was coming. It's just the news broke out late to us, Casey. So they knew that Hopkins was going to be suspended, and that's why they brought in Marquise Brown to be the number one guy with Kyler Murray, and the whole partnership is going to be great. Yada yada yada. We realize the NFC is weak. Russell Wilson's gone. Let's look, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Matthew Stafford, it's whoever comes out of the NFC East. It's going to be Tom Brady, and after that, it's pretty much whoever. It's the wild card. In terms of the Cardinals, look, you lose Hopkins, that hurts, but if Kyler Murray can sort of find his groove again with his college teammate, kind of have that chemistry once more. There's no doubt about it. I think Arizona makes the playoffs without Hopkins. Look, if you go 3-3, you're set. You're good. If you go 3-3 during the first 6 games, you're good. If you're Arizona, because you bring Hopkins back, he brings a lot of attention, which open things up for a Zach Ertz, Rondell Moore, and Brown and James Conner. I don't think it affects him too much. But it obviously sucks to not have your 5-time Pro Bowler be there on the field. But if you just go 3-3 at the very most, you'll be fine. And look, the NFC is weaker than ever. The AFC is just so dominant in each division. There's always is like competition in each division in the AFC. So, I think it's gonna be tough to if the Cardinals were in the AFC, it'll be tough for them to make the playoffs. But since in the NFC, it's weaker. I do feel like the Cardinals will make the playoffs, just as long as they don't go 0-6 to start the year. That's what I think. So, as we shift towards Tyrann Mathieu, the former Chiefs safety pretty much held out. We didn't know where the heck he was going until the draft ended, and he officially signed with the Saints for 3 years. I don't have the contract details in front of me right now, but your thoughts on the Mathieu signing, Casey?
I think that it's a huge pickup for New Orleans. Bringing in a player back home, quite literally. Mathieu grew up in the New Orleans area, and for him to come back home and play for his hometown team is extremely, extremely exciting for him, especially. Definitely a huge pickup and great addition to the defensive secondary. Does he make the Saints a contender now? He definitely makes the Saints a contender for the playoffs, but probably I don't know about the Super Bowl yet. We still have to see. Jameis Winston had a season-ending injury, and he was out, and the Saints kind of just had a downhill spiral, and we all knew that Ian Book was not going to be the quarterback for the Saints because he was absolute trash. But I think that, with a healthy Jameis Winston and a healthy secondary, sure, the Saints could, go to the playoffs for sure. It's really not even that, because you think about the Panthers, they'll beat the Panthers. Think about the Falcons. No. Who's in the division? It's the Falcons, Panthers,
Bucks.
Saints,
yeah,
and who?
The Bucks.
Oh, the Bucks, yeah. So the Falcons, yeah, they could beat them, and then the Bucks, they're going to probably struggle with the Bucks. But other than that, they're looking really good in the division. So I think that's absolutely possible that the Saints pick up the Saints go to the playoffs with Tyrann Mathieu for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Saints defense last year 7th in yards allowed, so they allowed the 7th least yards allowed. 4th fewest points allowed as well, 19.7 points per game, so a dominant defense. And Mathieu comes in, 3-time Pro Bowler, 26 interceptions to his name in his career. You bring him in, honestly, you're just bolstering a Saints defense, and you're bringing hell to the NFC South because look, Tom Brady's there. Desmond Ridder is there in Atlanta. I guess he's going to take Marcus Mariota's spot. Unfortunately, Mariota is going to be a backup once more unless – well, actually, you think Mariota's going to start over Ridder, or is it the other way around?
I think that that question is really just going to be answered in camp. I think the same situation is kind of going to happen. Well, I mean, if the best thing that could happen is that Desmond Ridder goes through the same thing Derek Carr did with Matt Schaub. From the outside looking in, everyone's thinking, okay, well, Matt Schaub is going to be the day one starter, and that's how it looks. But all the players and insiders know that Derek Carr is way better. So I think that Marcus Mariota, I just feel bad for him. He should have found a team that he could start on, as opposed to the Raiders. But I'm extremely grateful for him on our team. But with that being said, I think that Mariota is going to start. He's probably going to beat out Ridder. But if he gets injured or if he doesn't play as well as everyone wants him to, he'll probably give up around midseason.
I agree. I do feel like, you did sign Mariota for a reason, not just to be on the bench. You paid him good money. Not a lot of money. You paid him good money to be on the team. So I think Mariota to start, maybe give him, halfway through the year. And if Ritter's ready, then he's ready. But, I don't think Desmond Ridder is NFL ready as of right now. He's just a promising prospect. So maybe you just take a year, let Ridder learn behind Mariota, who has been he's an accomplished NFL quarterback, hasn't won, Super Bowls or whatever like that, but he's a solid quarterback who, given the chance, he could perform to a promising level. So, we'll just leave that at that. But the Falcons, they have a quarterback, either it's Mariota or Ridder. Carolina, it's either Matt Corral or Sam Darnold. So, well, you get Tyrann Mathieu, the Saints have a chance to win the NFC South. So, and also, the Saints are always they have been Tom Brady's kryptonite over the past couple of years because the Saints have been, when they face the Bucs, it doesn't end well for Brady and company. So we'll leave it at that. As we kind of run short on time here, our last question of the day is the biggest steal of the draft is who, Casey?
So this is a question I misunderstood earlier. I apologize about that. But yeah, I'm still going to stay with Sam Howell as the biggest steal in the NFL draft because Washington gets a franchise quarterback. And he's going to start over Carson Wentz eventually. And possibly, after maybe a few games, if Carson Wentz is just not doing it and Sam Howell continues to prove himself in training in camp, then I see it absolutely happening for sure. It's just exciting. It's exciting if you're a North Carolina fan, if you're a Sam Howell fan, just like me. And so, yeah, man, I'm probably the biggest deal of the draft for sure.
I was going to go Malik Willis, but I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go with George Pickens, the wide receiver from Georgia, who goes to the Steelers in the second round. Pickens had an ACL tear about almost midway through the season last year for Georgia. Chosen in the second round. Look, when he's healthy, this guy, I don't have the stats in front of me, but when he's healthy, he can produce. And you pair him up with Pickett in Pittsburgh and with the Claypool and Deontay Johnson, of course, and you pair him with Najee Harris as well. Pittsburgh offense is there's something to watch out for. So it'll be fun to see where that goes from there. But for me, it's George Pickens, and for you, Case, unfortunately, it's Sam Howell, even though I will never understand your love for this guy, regardless.
Because number one, better than Daniel Jones. Number two, he's going to absolutely destroy the Giants 2 times a year, every year for the next 15 years, or however long he decides to play. Because sure enough, I'm telling you right now, okay, this is for a different episode as well. We should make bold predictions, right, for every single rookie quarterback. I think the bold prediction, the safest prediction, I think, for Sam Howell is that he's going to start eventually sometime this season. That's just something that I think is a given. I think that he's going to be able to start over Carson Wentz, whether it's because of an injury or just because of his bad play. He's going to start and he's going to do well. And hopefully it's against the Giants so that you can finally understand why Sam Howell is a premium quarterback. But yeah, that's pretty much my pick.
He will not be the Giants twice, that's for sure. But as we wrap things up here on the Case and Nate podcast, I want to give my congratulations to Lo Van Pham. If you don't know who that is, it's all good because he becomes the first ever Asian American ever in history to be an NFL referee. He comes from the Big 12 conference in college football. He was born in Vietnam, moved to the Philippines, and then to the U.S. at the age of 7. So I'm excited to see Lo, or Pham, I should say, rep the NFL sidelines as a referee. So shout out to Mr. Pham for this is history, man. This is crazy. I never knew Asians. Let's face it, not to be racist, but let's face it, we never seen an Asian referee roam the fields of the NFL until now. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. And but yeah, it was a fun show today, Case. So very interesting, very fun topics we went over. Let's face it, I sort of raged a little bit about the whole Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis part, but hey, it's all for fun.
That's okay. Yeah, that's the whole point of this podcast, man. If you're not doing that, you're not getting, I'll say we're not getting paid, but we are not getting paid. So yeah, no, props to you, man. It's always a pleasure hosting the show for sure.
Of course, I mean we're just having fun with it. Belly Up Sports has given us this platform to do so, and just shout out to Belly Up Sports for just giving us opportunity to do our podcast. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. Let's go over the topics real quick. We went over today. We talked about the winners and losers of the NFL draft. We talked about which quarterback will have the better NFL career. I said Malik Willis. Casey said Kenny Pickett or Sam Howell, one or the other. We talked about Ryan Tannehill and if he's wrong for not wanting to mentor Malik Willis. I said yes. Casey said no. We talked about DeAndre Hopkins and his suspension and how much that will affect the Cardinals' chances of making the playoffs. We also talked about Tyrann Mathieu signing with the Saints, the biggest deal of the draft. To me, it was George Pickens, the receiver from Georgia. Casey said Sam Howell from the North Carolina Tar Heels. And finally, we gave our congrats to Lo Van Pham, the first Asian American ever to referee coming year. Now, new things are coming for the Case and Nate podcast. We're having guests on every week, whether it's about hoops or football or maybe baseball at times. Who knows? We're releasing new content, hopefully more than once a week with guests. I think we have a guest coming up soon. I think, yeah. So we'll be talking about that in the future, but we'll have guests come on every week. Casey, we're still working on some stuff as well. Some sports betting content we might release on the Case and Nate podcast. That is to be determined as well. So check that out as well.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see where this takes us. But as of right now, we hope you guys enjoy these weekly debates that me and Casey have. And hey, we're not going anywhere. We're back next week. We have more content coming out for you guys. And with the NFL draft being over, the NFL offseason is going to be kind of dead. So we'll find some fun stuff to talk about as we shift towards next week. But as always, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Nathan_Nguyen24. You can spell Nguyen, Nguyen. Casey, you can follow him on TikTok, please. KCY_. Even though he likes Sam Howell, whatever, he did make a great TikTok about one of my favorite players of all time. Check it out as well, KCY_ on TikTok. As always, I'm Nate. That's Case. We'll see y'all next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy baseball, whatever the case may be. And yes, the Giants will win the NFC East. Just kidding. I don't even know. We'll find out once the season comes, but that's just my prediction. We'll see y'all next week. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.